Getting learn to hate me. Getting learn to hate me, hate me.
Welcome back to the Get in Line to Hate Me podcast. My name is Courtney.
I'm Kirsten, and I'm holding up numbers for no reason. I was ready to jump into the episode number. Okay, I'm Courtney. I'm not. You go ahead and do that. Just take over.
I'm Courtney.
I'm Kirsten. Why did that sound weird? Do I have an accent all of a sudden? It's actually pretty good. I liked that.
And
Okay.
we are in the 6th episode.
Unbelievable.
I have a hard time saying that. 6th.
6.
That's something to do with my friend I think, when I was younger.
It might. Or
Side
you're just
story.
stupid.
Or I'm stupid. Wow, what a way to start our podcast for everyone listening.
Okay, so if you are just joining in, we start our podcast with something that we call, really they're called sisterisms, because
I love that.
we have kept up with each other for 3.5 years now.
Yes, we should have kept longer because, man, the things I used to
we've
say.
had wild, just, you know what happens? It's usually in the car or running errands. Something happens to our brains. I don't know what it is, but it's a good something.
They need to do a study on that.
So, Courtneyisms, Kirstenisms, and we start with mine and we end with hers.
Okay.
You get a little bit of our humor in the process.
Okay.
No, you're already laughing. Some of them are really dumb.
All right, Kirsten said one day, it's a part of my religion to rob banks, so you can't do shit about it.
And I stand by that.
And that was on the cusp of,
That was there
were people who saying,
yes, there
I
was
can go do this because it's part of my religion.
there was a trend going around where it was like something really, really dumb is a part of your religion. And if you say it, you can't get in trouble for it. So I was like, well, then it's a part of my religion to rob banks. And do not come after me. I'm not robbing banks.
We're not robbing banks.
I promise.
We haven't gotten that desperate yet. No, I'm kidding. We're not.
But there are
robbing them at
moments
all.
I watch Mad Money
Oh my gosh.
and I'm like, oh,
technically,
the justice part
they
of
didn't
me.
steal anything.
Right, I know. The justice part of me is like,
I could do that.
you're throwing that away.
Oh my gosh, I know.
I can't believe it.
She was saying, there goes your car payment, your mortgage, your house.
Oh.
I was like, you got to be kidding me. We actually do this. We shred all this.
No. And we do. We do. I looked it up.
Yeah, it's
Right after watching it.
286
Yeah, no.
million
Because
every day.
it either has a flaw or it's old and like faded and ugly. Excuse me, I will take your faded old ugly money any day.
What do you think I do with thrifting?
I have a faded old ugly closet. No, it's a faded. No, no. Okay, you know what? I just don't have a response to that. My closet is amazing, and I do thrift it. What somebody once saw as faded old ugly. Okay, we've been doing this too long. Another man's toxic sludge is another man's potpourri. One man's toxic sludge. Okay. And moving forward, this is episode 6. What an intro.
Really? We gave you some humor. So
What an
that's
intro.
That's good. We are lighthearted.
Ooh. Jesus, take the wheel.
We are.
Take it
Okay.
from my hands.
We are lighthearted sometimes. Okay, we
No,
did leave
honestly,
off.
we laugh a lot.
We
Here's
do
the deal.
laugh a lot. You
Most
have
of-
to laugh to survive the things
Most
we
of our life
survive.
is a lovely share between eating, venting, and laughing, and making music. And I think that's a riotous good time.
I was like,
I don't have that
I
person
been doing
yet.
this in my sleep and not knowing it?
I have not met him yet. I just haven't met you yet.
Okay.
They say I can't. I'm trying to get serious. Okay.
We left off at the end of episode 5 talking about we've lost mystery behind
Sexuality. Yeah.
Do you want me to start or you want to start?
I can kick it.
I think you could start it because then I can interject where I'm going.
Okay. We were talking about Project Runway right at the end of the last episode
It's a great place to start.
because he talked about how, you know, like if you're showing off your cleavage, then don't show off your legs and your butt. If you're showing off your butt, don't show off your cleavage, all of this, okay? And to me, that is something that has really gone downhill over the years, because the deeper we get into life, it's like the more accepting we get of things that we should have never accepted in the first place. Like, it absolutely should have been a faux pas, like round one, when somebody showed up to an award show and you could see everything.
I agree.
That should have been like, everybody should have been like, what are we doing? What are we doing? We have lost the plot. And
First of all,
basically,
it's an award show.
bullied them into never doing that again. And I mean that. I literally,
Yeah.
some people
No, seriously.
could handle a little brutal online conversation about them where they're like, that was embarrassing.
It's like they didn't
Let's
have a
not.
mother growing up.
And they might not have.
They might not have, and that lost the plot too. Mothers who don't tell their children not to wear that when they go out of the house
Yeah,
because they're objectifying themselves in the wrong way.
absolutely.
And we don't want men to objectify us. But, and this is not going to sit well with
Get
people.
in line, baby.
We don't want men to say nice tits, nice ass, like, or come
Right.
to us in a
But
bar
our
because
titties and our ass are hanging out.
our things are clear up to here, and I can't even do that because mine aren't that big. But imagine if I could. You know, I saw someone the other night on TikTok, and she's like, "Is this too much to wear to New Jersey at a bar?" And I wanted to comment and be like, "This is too much to wear. Period."
Okay.
Half
Obviously,
of your boobs
we
are out.
are at some point in our career we're going to get canceled. I'm not scared of that.
I
'Cause
actually think we're already canceled.
I don't-
So we're already starting. At
I
a
don't
deficit.
believe in canceling. I don't believe it's actually accurate either. But the truth is, we have lost the plot. The truth is that we do need to start responding to some people and saying, like, why are you wearing that? Not, oh, you go, girl. Go off, queen.
What are you asking for?
Also,
And what do you want out of this?
if you do want the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and respecting a different result. I'm going to apply this to sexuality. We will forever and ever harp on the cat caller, which I get. Sometimes they just cat call because they see hair, okay? And they're like, that belongs to a woman.
It's a man from behind. He just
But-
has really nice hair.
I hear so much conversation about, oh, this unwanted attention from men. It just drives me crazy. I'm so over it. Okay, from the same mouth of a woman who has, what do they call that? Under boob top on, mini skirt on. You're expecting the man who is a sexual creature,
Yeah,
okay?
please.
And we can get into that anytime you want. The man is a sexual thinker, okay? It is how their DNA runs.
They certainly don't fall in love with you first for your personality. I truly do believe that.
they're very visual people.
They're incredibly visual. So much so that I was listening to a guy talk about this, and he was like, as a believer, this is so
Yes,
true.
but what
He's like,
keeps
I
a
found
man
my wife first
is personality.
because she glowed like the sun.
Yeah.
And I was attracted to that. But then when she opened up her mouth and
keeps
her
you.
attributes
Exactly.
came out,
Exactly.
and the way she carried herself, I fell in
Exactly.
love with that.
Um,
I stayed around for that comfort.
there's a whole other conversation which I would absolutely love to have. So let us know
that
if you
would
want
be
to hear that.
amazing.
But it's a hypocritical thought process to dress yourself like slutty little Barbie and then expect the visual sexual man
Put blinders on.
to not make a comment about it.
I don't see you. I don't see half your tits out.
Right.
And I don't get to say anything
And then
about
not
it.
give you some kind of attention, talk to you, flirt with you, want to take you home, etc. And I'm going to use us as an example.
Because I've been asked inappropriate things before at bars, and I wasn't wearing inappropriate clothing.
Right.
So
there's a caveat to
there's
everything,
always
obviously. But I'm
gonna
going
be
to tell you
someone.
more often than not, we do not get nasty, unwanted attention from men.
No.
We get usually pretty respectable attention.
Yes.
It's not always from somebody I want it to be from. Sometimes it's like a homeless man who walks in and is like, wow, you guys look so nice. And I'm like,
Thank
Where's
you.
my Brad Pitt?
Why couldn't this man
Crickets.
look like Theo James?
No, but what I mean by this is we know how to dress appropriate. We know how to dress for our environment. We also know how to bring out sex appeal if we want to bring it out
Absolutely.
in the right way. We're women in our 30s almost.
I know. I'm gonna be.
Well,
30
by the
this-
time they hear this, you're 30.
Yeah. So we're 30.
Little girl is 20.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. I believe, as believers, we are number one.
I believe as believers that we should believe. Sorry.
I believe as a believer, as a Christian woman, it is my responsibility to uphold and cherish and have standards.
Yeah.
Number one.
Yeah.
And there have been times in my life where I was a little bit younger and I flirted with certain things and I didn't ask myself why. But what I'm going to say is also going to be, people are going to agree with me, they're going to disagree with me. It's going to be interesting. My own parents might even disagree with me a little bit. But Kirsten and I have had this conversation as it applies to wanting to be
Art.
an actress.
Yeah.
There are certain things that we would wear on tours.
Yes.
We've talked about this.
Yeah.
There are certain things I do not have a problem with. And what I'll say is it depends on how much of an addiction that this thing becomes in your life.
Or can I add to, or what I'm trying to get across? Because there may be
What am I trying to say?
an outfit for a certain feeling, a certain energy of a song that I want to portray.
Mm-hmm.
And that outfit is perfect for it, but it's not perfect for this.
A really vulnerable feminine music video. And I'm, you know,
Right.
right place,
Right time.
right motive.
And also, it will always come down to what is being displayed and how much of it's being displayed, because I will
Exactly.
forever argue.
Exactly.
If you're doing like a deep V bodysuit, you're probably going to have that on with like a flared pant and a cool boot.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt I will ever see her in a deep V bodysuit and a mini skirt and a high heel.
No.
Because first of all, that is not fashion forward. And we can have that conversation. You lose the quality of art in fashion when you over sexualize it.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
a micro mini, an underboob, and a stripper heel has no fashion sense to it. There's no fashion forward anything
But
in that.
A micro mini
With tights.
with tights and a longer jacket that might cut to the middle that you don't necessarily see that it's totally a micro mini. So you can't see your butt.
And like a high-rise
Adds
boot.
a form of me as a woman. I'm
That
like,
has a fashion.
Oh, that is so sexy.
That has a fashion appeal to it. Right? Because there is still an essence of mystery to it. And this is where we ended on that last episode on mystery. We have lost mystery. We have lost mystery in movies.
I was going to talk about that.
We have lost mystery in conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We have lost
We've lost
mystery
it in songwriting.
with curse words. Ooh.
Yes.
We don't want to tap. We don't tippy tap on that. When I watch a movie or a show and it has lost the shock effect because it's used curse words so much, I turn it off. Because in my mind, and we've also talked about this, in my mind, cussing, it has a shock value to it. And it's usually used to underline a point. Like if you're really hurting, right? Well, then saying I'm fucking hurting, that's probably going to have a jab
profound.
to its audience more than just I'm hurting. And so I have understood in art why it gets placed somewhere, why
agree.
it gets said.
I agree with that.
But then when it is blankety this, blankety that, I'm blank, 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 blanked. It has lost its shock value. So we've even lost mystery in cussing and utilizing the curse word as art. And it is art. And when it is placed in the right location to give the right information, it hits.
Also, I want to add with that, when I've watched good television series that baited us with the sexy parts of the story, when they've done it really, really well,
Yeah.
it is way more interesting
Yes.
to watch.
Yeah. I actually heard somebody talk about
Instead
that.
of giving everything away.
What was it? It was a girl talking about Bring Back Yearning.
Yeah. Like the Pride and Prejudice.
Bring back the Pride and Prejudice.
Absolutely.
Where we all got tingles head to toe when he like
whispered in her
squeezed,
ear.
when he squeezed his hands after, or like flexed his hand after touching her. Because the whole point of that was an intimate connection for that time period that didn't happen very often. And so, and I'm not saying you can't have a sex scene in a movie.
Some of them have just gone way
It's just been too much.
overboard. Like they knew they were sexy and they knew they could sell that automatically, like based off of either their looks or their body or something was happening there. And the directors were like, it almost feels like in a way, sometimes sex scenes have been phoned in for the lack of talent that was happening.
Whoa.
Or chemistry.
Whoa. That's a really...
I have watched shows before that never had one sex scene in it.
And there was more chemistry.
It was implied, like they woke up or something the next day.
Yeah.
And it was.
Ooh,
I would have believed they were in a relationship.
I have a good example because I have found the tension wonderful.
Night Agent?
Night Agent.
Oh my God.
And I don't hear enough people talking about this.
I agree.
Rose and Peter, who have done nothing together. Oh, they might have that on the boat.
But it
was implied.
And that was...
And actually, we don't know.
Exactly.
We don't know.
Exactly.
But
They might have just hanging out.
their tension together is flawless.
I agree.
And I actually feel like they want a relationship with each other just by the way they say things, the way they look at each other. Even the scene, I don't want to give anything away, but even the scene where she's just laying on his chest.
I love
and
that
she's like,
scene.
I just don't want you to go yet. And then he says, well, one of the reasons we don't tell you any information is we protect the people we love. He never even said, I love you. But that moment held so much. You're like sitting there and you're like,
We never got to hear the I love you.
Rose.
But in that moment, he was saying, I love you. It was his
right.
version.
So,
so
again,
good.
I'm not going to be the kind of person that's like, okay, because I believe this, every piece of art has to imitate what I believe.
No.
But there is a line, there is a standard to me, and I feel like we have truly lost the ability to make great love stories without cheap sex scenes. That's all we can do. And I've seen movies that have the dumbest, illest timed scenes
I agree.
with the greatest plots. And I'm like, do you know
Why did you do that?
how much more exquisite and enticing this movie would have been had you not done that, or a TV show rather? Like,
You know who did it well? Jane the Virgin did it well.
yeah,
With Raphael, and
yes,
like there was so much courting and there was so much yearning and there was so much communication before they were ever filing in and doing anything.
Yeah.
And even when they got down to doing stuff, it was still very romantic.
Yes, it was.
played out in a sense that was
yeah,
grown up and real and genuine. I mean, sometimes you watch stuff and you're like, are 14-year-olds really like that?
yeah,
And then it's a little bit sad if they are.
absolutely.
Or 15-year-olds.
Well, like,
People in
okay,
high school.
and this is gonna step on toes. This is really gonna step on toes, but it has happened with same-sex relationships on TV where it makes zero sense for something to have shown up when it did.
Oh, I agree.
Like, there hasn't even been a plot. We haven't learned characters. We haven't learned stories. And then, boom, a gay sex scene. And you're like, where, how, first of all, how did you have time? Because you're supposed to be meeting the Archbishop of Canterbury or something. And I know for a fact you didn't have time to do all that. So it's just like it's thrown in now just to throw it in. Going back to what we had, the conversation of showing up to the red carpet, showing your nipples, your ass, your everything, just to do it. That's happening now in art as well. It's just to do it. It's just to say, I did it. I check marked the cultural appropriate box, the relevant box, the whatever box. And if you're going to do it, because you're going to do it anyway, if you're going to do it with some integrity.
Please.
Do it with some backbone.
Please.
Give us a story on these people where when they lose their loved one or whatever, we all ache with them.
Yeah.
But the way that we're throwing this about makes me care zero about your characters.
Yeah.
I've had this conversation because Courtney wants to go into acting.
Yeah, and there's a lot that we didn't agree on when I was younger.
We talked about, this was recent. I was like, where do you draw your line of like
of course, I draw my line on nudity.
cursing
For
and all of
sure.
this, And she was like, I will cuss in a movie, but that plot has to make sense to me.
Yeah.
If I'm throwing the F word around 36 times in 36 seconds, I'm out. That is not a plot I want to be a part
I don't
of.
want to be a part of that.
But if this is a plot about a gangster, first of all, we know they talk.
And let's say I get cast as
Crazy.
a mob wife, because let's be real, I have mob wife potential.
That's going to be true to a character.
It's going to be very true to a character. It also would be like, if I was cast as an Erin Brockovich, she didn't swear a lot in that, but she had timely placement.
Yes,
Where
absolutely.
she told her, you've got wrong fucking shoes.
Yes.
I would have done that. I would have no
100%.
problems of doing that.
It keeps coming back to, why are you doing this? What's the purpose? What is the intention behind it? And what are you trying to affect your audience with? Because there are moments for a shock value and it carries a reciprocation that elicits conversation.
And I've watched
You know what I'm saying? Like,
plenty of
I've
movies.
seen some things where it's like, I got to talk about this because that was a mind bend. And I think they chose to do this for this reason. So basically bring back the art of mystery, bring back the art of asking questions.
Also, that would go into great storytelling, and it would also go into great talent.
Don't
You can
float.
off of
Do not rest
placing
your
a
laurels
curse
on
word.
let's say an A+ cast in a shitty script.
It ain't gonna sell.
Okay. Because just because they're good actors doesn't mean you wrote a good script. And I've seen that a lot.
A lot.
Don't rest on pretty people. This is going to go into another conversation, which is the modeling industry
Which I'm also in.
needs a revamp
Yes, it really does.
because we have cast a lot of pretty people
And
who
thought
don't know
they could
what
be
to do
models.
with their face
Absolutely.
or their body.
Absolutely.
They don't know how to use themselves as art. And it shows. And so then you end up seeing something and you're like, that's just so mediocre. And you signed them because they had big fluffy lips. But what else do they have to give? Nothing.
Yeah,
And Courtney, and I'll pat her on the back
I want to speak to this one.
for her.
Go ahead.
This girl gives face. And you can go through a slideshow and it is not the same facial structure, movement, concept, emotion.
Happy to prove it to you.
It is one after another of stellar modeling. And she doesn't rest on the fact that she's pretty. And she could. You could just stand, the camera like you, and that's it. She puts backbone into her art. And I think that's another conversation around the bend for sure.
I would agree with that. Absolutely.
So we want to end on a Courtneyism.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. Ooh, let me go through my list because my list is actually on my phone that's videoing us right now.
Amazing that you actually have some of these memorized.
Okay. This one was absolutely hilarious. She goes, I heard he was a part of the Illuminati. And that's Illuminat for me.
I always liked that one.
Oh, that's so good. And I don't care if anybody finds that funny. That struck my funny
is
bone.
funny.
Illuminat for me.
me.
Killer. Killer. I love your brain.
Thank you.
All right. That concludes episode 6.
No, with
Yeah.
the sixth
Episode
episode.
6 of the Get in Line to Hate Me podcast. We will see you on the next one.
Bye.